Hey, y'all, look. Let me fix my screen, okay? Y'all see my stove. Listen, it's Saturday night. It's late. It's late, but I'm here. I had a lot to do today. I had a lot go on today, but I figure I'll come through really quickly if anybody up. Because for me in Jersey, it's 10:15 at night. It's late, but I'm here. So listen, I'm glad if y'all coming through, y'all hanging out with me. The title is simple tonight. It's called Tragic. It's called Tragic. Well, I say tragic, I put tragedy, right? It's a lot of tragedy, it's tragic. Maybe I gotta update it. We did the other night the young man who was on vacation with his family. And he was kind of estranged from the dad. But it was an opportunity to reconnect with the dad and the dad's family. And then all of a sudden, the cousins told the story of there was an argument, there was a fight. He pulled out a knife, he jumped out the car, and then he was missing. Well, unfortunately, they found him, and he was not alive. And it's just sad. And unfortunately, I was praying they will find him alive, but it wasn't looking good. And these cousins, they got a lot to answer to. And it's very sad. And I think a lot of people on the father side of the family is not telling the truth. That's what Diva's saying. We'll talk about that update. Then in Washington, you know what? Y'all know I'm a nurse. I did peds, okay, pediatrics. And what goes on in a lot of these, a lot of jobs now, they want one person to do the job of like 10, 15 people. They just don't want to hire enough staff. The most dangerous place in the world to not have enough workers is in the hospital. It's dangerous. And, I will not do floor nursing. I won't work in a hospital if I'm going to risk my license because of this story right here. So a young girl was having situations with threatening to unalive herself, and she tried several times, was in the hospital, and somehow got out her room and went to the garage area of the hospital, jumped, and took her own life. And now they're blaming 15 nurses got fired. It's a convoluted story, so we're going to try to stay connected. But these nurses some of them got on TikTok, and they say, which I believe them, they're claiming that they've been told the hospital that they was not equipped to take psych patients, and they kept admitting them there. And they claim they told the hospital they wasn't equipped for it. I believe those nurses spoke up. But now they're collateral damage. They're saying that the nurses broke HIPAA, broke violation, and all kinds of other stuff. So they got fired. But they got the nursing board. They got somebody speaking up for them. And they put in a grievance about them being fired. Listen, there's some places where if you work short, and nobody's going to die. If you work in a clothing store and you short of staff and the people come in and still, all right, well, as long as you're still alive, everybody's still alive, it's not going to be that big of a deal. No place you should ever have to work short is in a hospital. We're going to talk about these nurses. Then we're going to talk about a laundromat attack. I think there's a lot of people now who are dealing with some form of mental illness. People are snapping. They're snapping because they can't afford their life. They can't afford food. They can't afford their rent. They can't afford anything. And they're just losing their mind. This man came in a laundromat. They kicked him out. He came back. He had a baseball bat. He tried to beat on the woman, but thank God for the other people in the laundromat that helped save her. Now, listen, there's another story. I didn't want to do it tonight, and I wasn't sure if I want to do it at all because it's a lot. They now have in some states, I don't know. I don't get the meaning behind this, but they have where people who are addicted can come to a facility and get paraphernalia, so that they're not in the streets sharing it, and they could get it and still be able to do, their habits, so to speak. And they're placing these facilities in the midst of neighborhoods. So one out there in Harlem, I lie to you not, I'll pull up this story in case you want to go read it yourself. One in the neighborhood of Harlem, these addicts, they're going to the place, they're getting their stuff, they're doing it what they do, and then they're drugged out of their mind, and they literally are having sex in the streets in broad daylight. I promise you, listen, when I'm looking for stories to do, I probably scan about at least 20 to 30 stories in one day. And then I decide, all right, I'll talk about this, I'll talk about that, or whatever. Some of them are just way over the top and they too much. But I promise you, broad daylight, in the neighborhoods, with the kids, these people are literally having sex. And I said, good googly my. And I never understood why you would have, how they think this is the answer to the drug problem. You would have a place where these people can go and get the stuff they need so they can feed their habit. I don't understand who thought that was the answer. The answer should be more rehabs, if anything. The answer should be, if you get caught doing this on the street, I'm sorry, but we got to lock you up. But the answer should not be, come here, get a needle so you could go ahead and shoot up. I don't understand that. But that ain't on the docket tonight. That was just a story I ran by that was shocking to me. I was like, what? But anyway, guys, it's Saturday night. For real. Saturday night, late night. But I'm glad y'all here with me. Okay, and we got stuff to talk about. The title is simple. It's called Tragedy. It's Giovanni. May he rest in peace. I don't know why my heart really breaks in this story, but I think my heart really breaks is because he reached out to his mom saying help. Oh my God. As a mother, it's devastating enough to know your child is no longer here. It's even more devastating to know your child tried to reach out to you when they was in need, and you missed the text and the call. It's just devastating. Y'all know what I need in the chat. I need a what? I need a choo-choo. Hold aboard, everybody. It is Saturday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. And the title is called Tragedy. We got this Giovanni. They found his body. It's super sad. The 15 nurses that got fired, and the laundromat attack. Hey, Will Savannah, I'm glad somebody on this platform with me. How you doing?
Hey, Diva. Happy Saturday night.
Happy Saturday night. This the late train, y'all. The midnight train to Georgia. It's the
Very
late
train.
Listen, this is so sad about this, Giovanni. Let me go, because I have two news clippings from this. Let me see if I can find it. I have so much stuff open here. Let me play this one. Let me play this one first.
To be clear right now that officials in Florida have not officially identified that body, but it was found in the same area where he went missing. And tonight it is raising even more questions about the circumstances, and specifically the people who he was with when he disappeared. While there are still unanswered questions about what happened to Giovanni Pelletier after getting into the car with his cousins in Florida, retired FBI Special Agent Frank Brostrom says knowing where he was supposed to be going gives investigators an easy place to start.
Normally in these investigations, somebody disappears. You have no leads. You don't know who was with them last. You don't know where they were last. And you're kind of starting from scratch.
Since the cousins Gio was with already spoke with investigators, any evidence they find will give them a chance to compare that with what they claim happened.
They're going to do phone work on everybody involved. They're going to interview witnesses. They're just going to lay out and do the whole Monty, lay out the whole Monty on this. And they've got some great leads.
Yesterday, ABC 11 speaking with Gio's stepdad, Jeremy Brown, who says while they were a little skeptical of Gio going with the cousins he hadn't met, Gio was excited to spend time with them.
We have our reservations, but we trust you. We trust that you're going to look out for yourself. We trust you're going to be safe.
That is until that ominous text 20 minutes after he left, asking for help. Gio's stepdad shocked he was told Gio was left somewhere.
What kind of family are you when you're going to leave your cousin on the side of the road?
But law enforcement experts say that part of the story from his cousins about Gio's alleged erratic behavior isn't adding up.
Adding this part about he was acting strange and pulled a knife on us, and then he's the one texting help, I need help. That story's not going to stand up.
And he says one way or another, the truth will come out.
Their stories are now, they can't change their stories. Their stories are in cement. And the investigators are going to work around those stories and compare it to the evidence. Basic investigations 101.
Yeah, and again, we do have that timetable set in stone. His parents seeing him leave with his cousins, but what happened in that 20 minutes after is going to be crucial to that investigation, Steve.
Super sad. I wanted to show this.
God leads us on these missions to help these families because we feel like we're helping God answer those prayers for those families who pray for somebody to come help them.
Breaking news at 6, the Manatee County Sheriff's Office believes that they have found the body of 18-year-old Giovanni Pelletier, a teen who went missing while visiting family in Charlotte County last week. Hello, and thank you for counting on Gulf Coast News. I'm Sarah Mankiewicz.
And I'm Madison Zaleski. Manatee County deputies found a decomposing body in a retention pond near where the teen was last seen last night. Gulf Coast News reporter Blaine Montgomery spoke to one of the search and rescue groups who helped search for the missing teen. Blaine?
The news hit the community hard. Many people were hoping to see the teen return home to their family safely. A large search was underway this week for 18-year-old Giovanni Pelletier. Multiple law enforcement agencies, Giovanni's family, and an organization called We Are the Essentials all searched for him relentlessly. Today, I spoke with the lead investigator of We Are the Essentials, who said they're heartbroken about this tragic news. They are grateful they were able to assist his family through such a difficult time.
We were able to have a conversation with the family and said, hey, look, we're happy to try and come help your family. We come down and search. We can try to help you navigate things through, the process. Typically, we were out, boots on the ground by 7:30 in the morning, depending on traffic. We would start covering and we would start mapping. We have a mapping program and system which we map where we go, and most importantly, we map where we don't go.
Lane says a group of volunteers, along with Giovanni's family, searched for him near his family's home in Inglewood throughout Manatee County. They searched for 12 to 14 hours a day since Giovanni went missing August 1st. The 18-year-old from South Carolina was last seen in Manatee County. His cousins told deputies that he started acting erratically, got out of their car, and walked off near State Road 70 in Manatee County. His mother got a text from him less than an hour later asking for help. Yesterday, investigators searched a retention pond at the southbound off-ramp off I-75 and State Road 70. Lane tells me extended family member discovered what he appeared to be Giovanni's body. Today, Manatee County deputies confirmed it was Giovanni Pelletier.
The family was out there every day searching. They were relentless, and they had a lot of our respect from a lot of our involvement. Giovanni was an amazing young man based on the family describing him to us, and we almost felt like we knew him after over the week of listening to the family talk about him. This past week, Giovanni became everybody's son because they were rooting for him in the media, watching what was going on, praying that he was able to come back safely.
We Are the Essentials is asking everyone to keep the Pelletier family in their thoughts and prayers. We'll update you once we learn more about what happened to Giovanni. In studio, Blaine Montgomery, Gulf Coast News.
So sad. Let me just give one more thing here. Thank you, Flip. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, mods. Everybody hit that like button. Giovanni, may he rest in peace. Body found in Florida pond is likely missing teen from North Carolina, detectives say. So, it's definitely him. It's just so sad. I don't know. Savannah, your thoughts?
It is sad, Diva. It is actually heartbreaking that this is his outcome.
Mhm.
However, I feel a little bit of um, I feel a little bit of grace and gratitude that he has been found and that the mother can now properly bury her child and not be, because I've known of many stories of people missing in up and down I-95, I-75. Florida is a dumping ground for unaliving. So I'm glad
Mhm.
that that part I have to say that he has been found, and now the law enforcement officers can start doing a true investigation on what really happened that night by pinging cell phones, because that story that the three cousins have been sharing on social media and with law enforcement keeps changing.
Mhm.
And I'm also looking at the grandfather as well. Now he's gone hush. He don't
Mhm.
know nothing. So I honestly need to look at that family. I need law enforcement to definitely look at this family and what are they tied into? Is there a previous criminal records on the cousins? Because I can only imagine the mother just beating herself up, allowing the young man who just graduated high school, Giovanni, to go be with family that they never knew. These people. So you have to be careful, even with your own blood and family.
Mhm.
So I can imagine that is torturing her soul that she sent her baby off with some strangers who she thought were blood and were going to look out for him. So I think we will find out the truth on what really happened to Giovanni that night, because I do know that law enforcement is all over it, and that story they're trying to sell, it just ain't jiving. It's full of lies and holes.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And the grandfather could stop talking all he want, but he left a voicemail saying that there was an altercation. Thank God for these cell phones. Thank God for these.
Absolutely,
So you can't take that back.
absolutely. I do know that they are pinging, according to the news, that they got these cell phones from the cousins and they're
Mhm.
pinging using tower pings to find out where they were. So they are tracking it. I think we'll have more answers to this story by mid next week.
Yeah, we're gonna get more answers. Wayne, your thoughts?
Well, I think they're going to get answers quick too because these kids, they're not going to keep their lives straight. It's
Mhm.
just a matter of time that they're going to sink their own self. But I think in the article didn't it say that that the father was kind of estranged from the family. Um, they didn't have like a big relationship or whatever, and the boy wanted to know his father's side of the family. I wonder if it goes back as to if the father was estranged from the family and some things went on years ago, like family things that may have happened. And there's a suggestion, since his son wants to come down here, you know, because I can't imagine these kids going to pick up their cousin on their own. You know, it's
Well,
almost as
he
if,
was in contact with the cousins before they even went out there, through the social media,
yeah.
these kids and everything. My problem is, why didn't the dad drive to come see him?
what I'm saying is that if the grandfather, whoever it is, I don't know if, yeah, the grandfather, that if I just think something went on or some bad, some bad history in the family, and I think the grandfather knows. I think he's protecting his grandkids, even though they did, they may have told the grandfather, look, he jumped us. They said something about that they said he had a knife. So maybe the grandfather is believing this and protecting his grandkids. That's what I'm thinking. Because I just don't see how this young man, somebody sent for him. He's not just going to meet the cousins. You want to meet the cousins' mothers and fathers. I'm quite sure if their nephew or whatever, they want to see him too. But whatever happened, it had to have happened quick, because the boy was sending out messages 20 minutes. I'm in Florida. I don't know how far Charlotte County is from Manatee County, but it sounds deliberate for something to happen that quick, and he's sending messages. Something deliberate, something was intentional. I don't know if this one of those like hazing or maybe devil worshiping or sacrificing or something like that, because it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. That's it.
Katrina, your thoughts?
Hey, Wayne, it's about an hour. I apologize. It's about an hour drive, the Manatee County from Charlotte County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't. This whole thing don't seem right. It's something is wrong. Katrina, your thoughts?
I'm thinking they probably tried to rob him. They probably was trying to rob him. He probably had some money on him, and they probably was trying to rob him for his money. And the one good thing is they found the body, and maybe the mom can have some type of relief, knowing that she can bury her child or whatsoever. But the one good thing that when they do an autopsy report, Diva, and if his body was floating, therefore they know it's not a drowning. Because if you died, I mean, if somebody unalive you and throw you in a pond, that means that person was unalive before they got in that pond, because they still got air in their lungs, and that shows that they was unalive before they got in there. So when they do the autopsy report, they can't say, yeah, he drowned or whatsoever. That's not going to wash. And for the granddad, even though if that is what he's trying to do, like you say, Wayne, that's still wrong. That's still wrong. You still trying to cover up somebody unaliving another person, even though this your grandchild. Yes, we know we would do a lot of things for our grandkids and whatsoever, but that was your grandchild too. So it's sad, and just rest in peace to this young man. I pray his mom's heart is lightened, which I know that's a hard thing to bear, losing a child. I just pray that she gets some peace. I hope she gets justice. And whatever they did to that young boy, I'm the type to say it need to be done to them. Maybe they thought that by him being in that pond and so many alligators and stuff around, that the alligator would have got him. And I'm so glad to God it didn't. So now they can do some research and autopsy and see what really happened to this young man. But rest in peace to him. That's all I got.
Rest in peace. His body was decomposing. This is just weird. And the fact that his backpack wasn't on him, I feel like these cousins did something, and it's extremely sad. But I'm going to roll right into my next story, and I'll go ahead and do the laundromat situation. Let me go ahead and share screen. Let me see if I can bring this up.
was a regular day at the laundromat, but then it turned into a very scary situation. A woman came face to face with a man with a bat before two men took him down, and a security camera captured it all. ABC 24's Ezekiel Telemaco joins us now. Ezekiel, you talked exclusively with the victim and the customers who came to her rescue. Is that right?
Yep. So it's a pretty crazy story, honestly. And this happened at Ellie's Laundromat on South Pauline Street. And it started when workers banned a man from the property. And then it took a violent turn when he attempted to come back.
I was drying and washing his clothes. And he told me that I didn't need to be on my phone. And I was like, huh? I didn't understand what he was saying at first because I didn't hear him. So I was like, huh? And he was like, you don't need to be on your phone. I was like, why not? He was like, because he was washing his clothes or something. And I was like, okay. And then he had left.
Hendricks says she thought that was the end of it, but minutes later, police say Joseph Leak came back, and this time he was yelling at customers and swinging an orange baseball bat. That's when two customers, Donald Young and Reginald Harris, stepped in.
I was glad I was able to hold him down instead of shoot him, because we have enough of that going on in the city, and I think it portrays the city in a negative light.
Harris says he never came to the laundromat expecting to be a hero, but he thinks it's everyone's responsibility to help each other.
I didn't come in here to be a hero. I came here to wash clothes. But I think you need to interact where you see a need. And it's everybody's job to do that in the community. That's what made Memphis what it was.
And while many are calling him courageous, Harris says his heart is with both the victim and the suspect.
You know, a lot of people say, well, you know, he's this, he's that. But you know what? My heart goes out to him, too, because I don't want to read about him dead, and I don't want to read about her dead either. I'm tired of seeing that go on in our city. And like I said, you know, we can talk about it or we can do something about it.
Harris says he hopes this moment helps remind people of what Memphis used to stand for.
Back in the day, if they saw you, you know what I'm saying, people intervened. And they even told your parents. There was a thing called pride. There was a thing called morality. And I think that needs to return back to this city.
Yeah, and because of these heroic acts, Hendricks wasn't hurt, and Leak is being held at the Shelby County Jail on aggravated assault, criminal trespass, and burglary charges.
Yeah, it's definitely good that those customers had those quick thinking to step in and save the situation. Now, I do want to ask you, how long did it take for the police to get there?
Yeah, according to the victim that I spoke to, about 8 minutes, which is a pretty long time. So they did apprehend him, and they were able to hold him down until the police came and had their tasers out, and, you know, thank God, put him away.
Yeah, 8 minutes is definitely a good response time, but 8 minutes can feel like a long time when you're in a compromising situation like that.
Absolutely.
All right, great reporting, Ezekiel. Thank you.
All right, so hold on one second. Yeah, that was a good man. God bless both of them that stepped in, because she could have really ended up being hurt. He had a baseball bat. So Memphis woman says superhero customers stop baseball bat attack at laundromat. Two men stepped in to disarm the suspect, held him down until police arrived and prevent what they believe could have been a deadly situation. Memphis, Tennessee, a Memphis woman said two customers she calls her superheroes saved her from a man swinging a baseball bat inside a laundromat. The incident happened on Wednesday evening, August 6th at Ellie's laundromat on South Pauline Street. According to an affidavit obtained by the News, Joseph Leak has been issued a trespass notice earlier that evening, banning him from the property. Jacqueline Hendricks, a woman targeted in the attack, said she first encountered Leak early in the day while he was doing laundry. He was drying and washing his clothes, and he told me, "You don't need to be on your phone," Hendricks says. I didn't understand what he meant at first. I asked him why, and he just said something about washing his clothes. I didn't think much of it, and then he left. Hendricks thought the interaction was over until minutes later. Police says Leak returned, this time yelling at customers and swinging an orange baseball bat. That's when customers Donald Young and Reginald Harris jumped in to help. They it's basically like my superheroes, because if they weren't there, if they wasn't here, they could have possibly hurt me more than what it was, Hendricks said. Harris said that while they held Leak down until police arrived, Leak told him he wasn't taking his medication. Harris believes the way the situation ended was important in many ways than one. I was glad I was able to hold him down instead of pow-powing him, because we have enough of that going on in the city. And I think it portrays the city in a negative light, Harris says. Once these guys are disarmed, Once these guys are off the drugs, they come back to their normal selves, Harris said. That's when you can talk to them, and that's when you can reach them. Harris said he didn't come to the laundromat to be a hero. I didn't come here to be a hero. I came here to wash clothes, Harris says. But I think you need to interact where you see a need. And it's everybody's job to do that in the community. That's what makes Memphis so great. While Harris is being praised for stepping in, he said his heart goes out to both the victim and the suspect. A lot of people say, he is this and he's that. But you know what? My heart goes out to him too, Harris said. I don't want to read about him dead, and I don't want to read about her dead either. I'm tired of seeing that go on in our city. And like I said, we can talk about it or we could do something about it. He hopes the moment reminds the community of values he said has been lost. Back in the day, if they saw you, people intervened, and they even told your parents, Harris said. There was a thing called pride. It was a thing called morality. And I think that needs to be turned back to the city. Leak was arrested and charged with aggravated assault, criminal trespass, and burglary. He is being held at the Shelby County Jail. Court records show he was taken into custody just hours after signing paperwork, acknowledging he was banned from the laundromat. So it seems like that guy perhaps had mental health issues. Savannah, what are your thoughts?
I agree. Thank goodness that these two citizens were there to stop the young man from committing a crime that would really put him behind bars for quite some time. It's been years since I've used a laundromat. 'Cause I had to always wash my duvets or my comforters, so I would go to a laundromat and drop them off. But I always feel for those workers, those attendants. They're there long hours. They're so unprotected. They're in communities where the income is very low or close to poverty level. So law enforcement response is always going to be they're going to lag and drag their feet when incidents happen at the laundromat. There's usually always one worker there. I
Mhm.
always think that, especially when it's a female, there should be at least two present on site at all times.
Mhm.
But I've never seen a properly well run laundromat where the safety and the well being of the employees is priority number one. So I agree with Mr. Harris as the community has a responsibility because that laundromat services that community. Many of these apartments, especially in New York, if you get a washer and dryer in your unit, you really hit the jackpot because space is very limited in these apartments in New York. So a laundromat is a necessity, and stepping in and protecting those employees, protecting that establishment is something that they should get involved in. I agree the young man has some maybe some mental obstacles he needs to get through, but I credit those two men for being there and thwarting that attack on the lady. I hope that the establishment puts some extra security measures in place there.
Yeah. Wayne, your thoughts?
I'm glad this was one of those situations where somebody's getting beat up and everybody's with their cell phone taking pictures, videoing it. And I'm glad somebody immediately saw it and didn't see it as a viral moment. Because that's what happens a lot. We see it. People on the cell phones while the people, getting harassed. So I'm glad the man came in and whoever else came in with him. Because we do, the Bible says, I am my brother's keeper. How you going to walk by and see somebody being assaulted and not do nothing? It would have only taken seconds for that man to hit her in the head with that bat and do permanent damage. So thank God, she had an angel in place. That's it.
Yeah. Katrina, your thoughts?
Yes. Instead of them taking him to the jailhouse, maybe they should have took him and put him in a 72-hour hold. Cause didn't he say he didn't take his medicine?
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing that he said. I didn't take my medicine. I didn't take my medicine. And maybe, like you said, it's a lot of mental stuff going around out there. And maybe he thought that she was recording him with her phone. If he's not in that mental state that, he's thinking rationally. Obviously, he's not. But yeah, I'm glad the two men stepped in. Thank God, because we've seen plenty of time where the woman is getting beat up or whatsoever, and people just standing by. Ain't got nothing to do with me. Ain't got nothing to do with me. Just like the lady that was in the McDonald's and her son came in, or the chicken place, wherever it was, and her son came in and unalived this man because he was messing with his mom, and people was in there watching it. As Wayne would say, they was holding their cameras out, and it was a viral moment. And these two men stepped in and protected this woman like a man's supposed to. They didn't have to jump into that. They could have just let it went on. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have to get involved. And then they got involved and nobody got hurt. Nobody pulled out a pow or anything like this because this man got a bat. Who knows how hard he could swing. But they went in, they handled it like men, and they all walked away. Even though one got locked up, but he still walked away to live another day. And ain't nobody in cuffs or anything like that other than him, or feeling bad about what they've done. They did this with morals. They did it, bravely. And I'm happy that they did do that. We need more people like that in the world. I mean, the thing that he was saying was totally right. Everybody don't have to go into the morgue when you're trying to handle a situation. We still can walk away. And I'm glad he made that a point that all of them still walked away. Except for the one that got carried off in the thing, but he still walked away. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I'm good for him. Good for them. Good for all of it. It's just a good thing. That just make you feel a little better. There's some type of way there is some humanity out there. And that's a blessing. God put people in your place, like you say, for a reason. And that's why them two men was there to put in that place to protect that woman and also protect that man, because somebody could have came in and did a whole nother direction. And he went the good direction, and that's a good thing. That's all I got.
Thank you. All right, so we're gonna roll into this last story with these 15 nurses. Hold on one second. Let me share your screen.
Tonight, the Washington State Nurses Association is taking action after they say more than a dozen nurses were fired from a local hospital. The firings come following the tragic suicide of a 12-year-old psychiatric patient at Sacred Heart back in April. Graham 2's Regan Gallo found out the nurses union is now filing grievances. She is live tonight with more on this new development. Regan?
Well, Mark, the Washington State Nurses Association told me 15 nurses were fired following the death by a suicide of a 12-year-old patient who was under psychiatric care at Providence Sacred Heart Medical Center. A spokesperson from Washington State Nurses Association says they are filing grievances on behalf of those nurses. In a statement sent to me, WSNA added they reject claims from the hospital that nurses violated privacy protocol. They say nurses were doing their job to assist the 12-year-old girl. They added often nurses outside of the emergency department are called in to assist with care and provide information related to a patient's treatment. I also reached out to Providence Sacred Heart Medical Center about this. They responded with a statement that says their code of conduct was violated, including patient privacy. The statement reads, Providence takes violations of our code of conduct and federal privacy laws that govern private health information very seriously. We review employee conduct and take appropriate action, including termination of employment where warranted. Patient privacy is one of our top priorities. I followed up with the hospital to confirm the number of nurses that were terminated, but they said they cannot confirm numbers, saying it's a human resources matter. On social media, there has been speculation the nurses were fired in retaliation for speaking to the media after initial news came out when the 12-year-old girl died.
Nurses have been telling the hospital they couldn't take care of psychiatric patients in that unit. It was not safe.
I asked Providence about this, and they said the termination was only because of patient privacy violations. The hospital noted that they will fully participate in the grievance process, and WSNA says the grievance process could take up to 2 years. This is a developing story. I'm reporting in the newsroom. Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
All right, so hold on one second. So Washington Hospital fires 15 nurses after a 12-year-old patient takes her own life. More than a dozen nurses have been sacked in another discipline at a Washington State Children's Hospital after a 12-year-old patient took her own life at the facility. Sarah, a compassionate, outspoken middle schooler, died April 13 after slipping out of her room at Providence Sacred Heart Children's Hospital in Spokane and jumping from the 4th floor of a parking garage, according to a report. Sarah had been admitted to the emergency room multiple times in 2024 for unaliving attempts, the spokesman review said. May she rest in peace. The hospital allegedly removed key safety measures despite her history of self-harm, including a round-the-clock sitter, a video monitor, and a door alarm, and failed to properly supervise her the night she died. Investigative West reported, citing a lawsuit filed by the family. I asked what happened. How come she left the room without anybody seeing her? How come she walked all the way to the elevator without anybody seeing her? Her mother said to the outlet. They haven't given me an answer at all. I trusted the hospital to take care of my daughter. 15 nurses have since been fired and another discipline amid questions over how Sarah was able to leave her room undetected, according to the spokesman's review. Hospital brass claimed the nurses improperly assessed Sarah's medical records without being directly involved in her care, a potential violation of the federal privacy law, HIPAA. The Washington State Nurses Association, which represents the staffers, claims the firing were retaliation against nurses who spoke to media after her unaliving. The union said the nurses have filed a grievance, a process that could take a long time to resolve. Providence spokesperson Jen York told the spokesman review the terminations were about protecting patient privacy, saying the hospital reviews conduct and takes appropriate action involving termination of employment where warranted. A State Department of Health investigation into Sarah's death is ongoing. In a statement to the Post, Providence said it launched an internal investigation after Sarah's unaliving and implemented new protocols, including risk screening for all patients and procedures for locating missing patients. Now, that should have been implemented. That's a standard question, but we'll continue. Sarah was remembered on a GoFundMe page as a shining light who touched the hearts of everyone she met. We're confused how this can happen. We also want to know why there wasn't anyone there at the moment, why there was nobody watching her, and how she was able to leave her 19-year-old sister, Aisha Joseph, told PBS. The WSNA did not immediately respond to requests for a comment. Now, I will say this. The hospital I used to work in, the peds, the whole pediatric unit itself was locked. So even if, she would have happened to be in the room by herself, there was no way she was going to get off the floor because you had to be buzzed in and out of that unit. And here's the thing. I don't know the time frame for which she got out of her room to when they found her, but who was doing rounds on her, taking vital signs? It's a lot of questions here. It's a hot, stinking mess. Savannah, your thoughts?
Diva, I'm the same. I have questions. So this child is 12 years old. Will she be placed in the children's ward center of the hospital, or would she just be in a regular room?
No, she should
Because at her
definitely.
age of 12,
She should be in it.
in the
And even they sometimes they even send people up to 21 to the pediatric floor. So it all depends on who your
and
doctor is, but definitely at 12, she should have never been. I don't know how this hospital operates, but she should have been on a pediatric floor.
okay, and I'm trying to think that most pediatric floors that I know are unlocked. You can't just walk in and out. They're mainly unlocked. But I'm thinking that while this baby is no longer here, this 12-year-old, she had several attempts last year. So what do they mean that a risk assessment wasn't done before, because she had several attempts last year?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of lost in that statement there. And because she had those several attempts last year, she didn't belong in a regular ward. She needed to be in an inpatient medical facility to deal with the challenges that this 12-year-old had.
For sure.
So while there definitely is some some fault here of the hospital for not properly monitoring her, but I'm struggling with them, the family, thinking that there was going to be a 24-hour babysitter on this child when the nurses, there's they're already placed in stressful situations. My mom was a nurse, so I knew what she went through, the staffing shortages, the high stress situations that they're always in, and sometimes burnout, especially during the holidays. You will work some crazy shifts. So I don't, it's not unrealistic for the parents to think that somebody would be monitoring their child 24/7. That's what an inpatient facility, mental facility, is there for. So I have a lot of questions on this story, and it's heartbreaking that she's no longer here. But I think there's failure on both parts, and I do think the nurses have a right to file the grievance, because I think they have a case here where again, I, like you said, I don't know who did her vitals, who checked on her. We don't know any of that part of the story. But if it's going to take 2 years for me to wait it out, and I know I did my job, I'll wait 2 years, because I don't think the nurses did anything wrong.
Well, yeah, it's a mixed bag here, right? Because a nurse can't take somebody off a protocol. Um, but again, I don't know. I would love to know how long, like from the time she walked off and did this, how long was it? Did she do it right away? Because rounds are to be done, but usually rounds are every 4 hours. This thing is loaded, and I don't understand how 15 nurses got fired. I mean, if you have 15 nurses on that floor at the time, it's some missing pieces to this that I kind of need to know. But I will say this: the hospital on the whole is negligent, because how did she get out of her room, on the elevator, off the floor? No question. She got into the parking garage and took her own life. Wayne, your thoughts?
I'm gonna say pretty much the same thing, and I'm not on the nursing side, because they said that this unit was not capable of taking care of mental patients.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like Savannah said, you overworked, underpaid, short staffed, and it's easy when you have this child. If she had this many attempts, there should have been some more confinement.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she was in a place where she could just walk right out. I mean, somebody could have saw her, but obviously nobody didn't see her. And this child purposely knew what she wanted to do. And she probably watched and knew when, one nurse might be here and on. So to get past all those nurses, she must have really wanted to do what she did. I don't think the nurses were negligent. I don't think they were negligent. Now, I think overall, the hospital is liable because it happened in their hospital. So whether you provided the proper place where a child should be and then properly place them with adults, so it's the whole hospital. The hospital is liable. So, but I'm with the nurses. That's it.
The hospital is definitely liable. Yeah, this is a lot. Katrina, your thoughts?
Yeah, there is a lot. That's a lot. But the reason why I think their nurses are being held responsible was because if this was your patient and you didn't check to see where your patient was at, and like you said, Diva, they do rounds like every 4 hours. And on that pediatric floor, sometimes they have grown people on the pediatric floor as well if they need rooms. So by her being 12, yes, she's on the pediatric floor, but yet and still they sometimes have older people on pediatric floors as well. But by her being in that hospital and the nurses wasn't monitoring her and she got off that floor, like you said, the door is supposed to be locked, especially on a ped floor because they don't want a lot of people coming up through there. So like, did she know? I mean, if she's in that mindset of doing what she was going to do, so she had to be watching them and seeing where they taking break or see if anybody at the nurse's station and all that. But I'm still not getting why that how she got out that door. Why was the door not locked? Because normally they have a camera, especially on that ped floor, watching. So it's a lot going on.
She wasn't on the pediatric floor. She was with the grown folks.
She
So
was.
She was, Wayne?
Isn't that what you said? She was up there where the adults were?
No, I didn't say that. They don't specify. All I said was that from what I know on the PEDS floor, all PEDS units are locked. But in her particular case, the mother is right. She should have been on watch. Like I don't know what happened here, and I'm not understanding why how 15 nurses got fired. Now I do know that these nurses been telling them, and maybe I do think that's what they're really mad at. These nurses been telling them that they're not equipped to take care of these type of patients. And so, and they said they've been saying this way before this happened to this particular young girl.
And
so
see,
I
that's the thing.
think they're more mad
Go
with that. Go ahead, Katrina. I think they're
No,
more mad.
I get it because sometimes they get these patients and these patients don't belong on that floor. Let me give you an example. My daughter works in Georgia in a hospital up there, and she told me, she was like, this guy came in and I guess he was in a fight and lost because his jaw got wired. He got mad with them because she wouldn't give him a pair of scissors, and he got like hostile and cursing him out and whatsoever. So she told him, he said, let me out. So she said, well, you can sign this AMA. And so the other lady went in there trying to calm him down and say, oh, you're gonna be okay, then the next morning he came after her. So when they put these patients in these places knowing their mental status, and it's not the floor they're supposed to be on, so they get thrown up in the jungle of it. And with this mom knowing her daughter was trying to do this, myself personally, I would have had a sitter, or the hospital should have had a sitter in there with her if she planning on doing, if she's that type of patient. I think there should have been more guidelines around her because she could have went out and hurt somebody else. And if she's in that mindset, she could have did anything. Which, I think she's just going to self-inflict harm on herself. But still, people do things crazily. And I think they should have had like either, a sitter or somebody in their room, knowing if that's her mindset, especially when the nurse is saying that they're not capable of taking care of that type of patient, or they don't have the people there to help with those type of patients. I think it should have been more people around that. I really do. And even though, the nurses and stuff lost their job, but yet and still, that patient is still that nurse responsibility. And I hate to say this or whatsoever, but yeah, it fell back on the nurses. And it's sad. I think it fell back on the nurses and the mom. I think the mom should have a responsibility in it too, knowing her child was like that. I would want somebody around my child.
No, the girl is in the hospital. I don't think this is on the mom. And I want to say this. Do y'all remember the story I did where the patient he beat the nurse so bad?
Was it in Florida down there?
Yes.
The little Mexican lady, he gave her the beat down.
Katrina, she was not Mexican.
She went. I thought she was sort of a Mexican little lady. Steve, you sure? Well, okay. Well, she was a little lady.
Hold on, Katrina. It doesn't even matter though. But she was Indian, I want to say, but it doesn't matter. The point is that this mental patient, who should have never been in that facility, another situation where he should have never been in that facility, and he beat the nurse darn near to death, an inch of her life. And I know she went blind or whatever the case may be. And so in the fellow nurses got scared and didn't even help the darn nurse. So these nurses clearly said that they was speaking for a while now, how they was telling the hospital, and I really think that's why the hospital was pissed and mad. They was telling the hospital that they were not equipped to take care of these particular patients. So this is on the hospital. The doctor has to orders to say that this person needs to be on a one-to-one. And the doctor should have placed those orders.
Exactly.
But in addition to that, though, I just don't understand how she got off the floor. That's an issue for me. And I would say that's upon the whole staff. Because if you got 4 or 5 patients, you can't have your eyes on all 4 or 5 patients the whole time. But the question is, how did this girl get off the unit and no one saw her? Not the unit secretary, not another nurse, not a tech. Nobody saw her leaving. And again, I just know from the hospital I worked in that the P's, the PICU, the NICU, it is all locked units.
It is.
So
it is locked down.
I'm not quite sure how.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Savannah.
I'm sorry, I apologize. But I had a question because you mentioned that the nurses, the hospital statements said that the nurses spoke with the media. So is there concern that they violated HIPAA laws?
That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying.
Okay.
Now, I don't know when they spoke, did they mention this girl's name directly, or were they speaking in general? The one I saw that was part of that news clip, the girl was speaking generically, saying that they've been told the hospital, and they've been told administrators that they were not equipped to be taking care of those type of patients anyway. So I don't know if maybe some of the other nurses that were a part of the 15 that got, fired, I don't know if they mentioned the girl's name and said things, but they said also too about different individuals that was in this young lady's chart. So I also don't know if hindsight, once it happened, every nurse that ever took care of her over the course of days that they was there, was they going back in the chart afterwards to see, did I document this? Did I do this? Did I didn't do that? You understand what I'm trying to say? At what point?
Yes.
Right. So it's loaded. This thing is loaded. So I don't know if that's what happened, because I'm like, how do 15 nurses? There's no 15 nurses on one shift, and just that the shift on that one shift the day she was gone. So she did this to herself. So I don't know if along the way somebody said something where they recommended to the doctor like she no longer needs this one-on-one. I don't know what happened, but I do know it's 15 nurses and now they're fighting. And then out of the 15, there was another one that just got disciplined. Like, so I'm not quite sure. Something is amiss here. Something is amiss. But the bigger picture for me is 100% the hospital is going to have to pay. To me, there's no way around it. There's no way around it. And see, that's what I tell nurses all the time. 15 nurses got fired, but what about the doctors that took care of her? Did they not order a one-on-one and the nurses didn't implement it? Or did they just not order it? Like this whole thing, I'm going to stay connected to this story because it's messy.
Did they say why she was in the hospital?
What happened?
Did they say why she was in the hospital?
Because she came through the emergency room because she had an attempt on her life. She took a whole attempt on her life.
Yeah. Well, heck, ain't no way that she shouldn't have been on that mental floor then. But if she came in stating that she was trying to take her own life, there's no way that they shouldn't have had her on a mental. She should have been on a 72 lockdown right then and there.
The point is, Katrina, I think they took her and admitted her. And that's why the nurses said that they kept telling them, stop bringing these particular patients here because we're not equipped to deal with them.
Got you. Because that's what I'm saying. Because if she went in there saying that that's what she wanted to do, automatically she was supposed to be put on a 72-hour hold on a mental facility, and she was supposed to be watched as well. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it fell on the hospital and on the staff. Not the nurses, because they couldn't do anything. They making a point that they can't handle these type of patients, but yet and still, oh God, yeah, you're right. This is layered.
It's layered.
Big time.
It's layered big time, and it's a mess. I don't know how this is going to be. They said thank you, Diva, 100%. She was on a one. She should have been on a one-on-one period. She should have been. She should have never been left alone. And on top of it, she really should have never been left alone because she had a history. And I believe her history was within that same ER of the hospital where she was admitted. So the hospital is for sure gonna have to pay. I just don't know. And it's sad. What's even sadder to me is that when you have anybody, whether they're younger or older, who just feels like they want to take their life, like they feel it's so bad for them that they want to take their own life. That's just so sad to me. This is very sad. So I don't, but I will stay connected to the story to see, how it pans out for these nurses. It's sad, but the other story I'm definitely going to stay connected to is this Giovanni, because I'm waiting for some cousins to be arrested. I really am. Anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all for being here because, honey, it was late. It's late. We did the late train tonight. But thank y'all for hopping on the late train. And remember, if you didn't hit that like button on the way in, hit it on the way out. Good night and goodbye, everybody. Choo choo.
Choo choo.